What's up, everyone? I'm Felicia7X, and I'm probably gonna get a lot of hate for this video, but you know, it is what it is. I'm not getting paid for this, and I have no connection or whatever to the game aside from playing the first one and being a fan of it. This is just my honest opinion slash review slash analysis or whatever you want to call it about The Last of Us Part 2. Obviously, you know, there's gonna be major spoilers ahead, so you've been warned there. But yeah, I've been seeing this game get a lot of hate, and seeing as how I enjoyed the game, I figured, you know, I might as well explain why. Obviously, some people will genuinely not like the game, but I don't know. There's an insane amount that I could talk about with this game, but I figured it's probably most efficient and easiest just to break it down into three parts. Really just three characters, that being Joel, Ellie, and Abby, and you know, just break them down one by one and explain why I thought that the story made sense. So yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. Now, I couldn't picture The Last of Us 2 without either Joel or Ellie dying, and it just made sense to me for it to be Joel. The way I see it, Joel's story was over, and Ellie's was more or less just beginning. In the first game, Joel was a smuggler who was tasked with smuggling Ellie to the Fireflies because, you know, they thought that they could get the vaccine out of her. And obviously, along the way, he develops a bond with her because she reminds him of his daughter who died in the first one, or at least she fills that void, whatever it was. In this, his mission went from just smuggling her to get paid or whatever to ultimately protecting and saving her, which he ends up doing at the end of the first game. Now, people like to argue that the way Joel dies doesn't make sense to his character, which kind of has some merit to it, I'll agree. And I've also seen people mad that the way he dies is pretty brutal and, you know, whatever. But I feel like what a lot of people forget is that before Ellie, and even arguably with Ellie, Joel was kind of a scumbag. Don't get me wrong, at the end of the first game, I like Joel as a character, but it is what it is. I tried to do as much homework, so to speak, for this video as I could, and you know, when I was reading the wiki, it even states on there that Joel had a reputation for, you know, torturing, deceiving, and murdering people to survive, even innocent people. And even though it was in the name of survival, again, let's just call it what it is, even when he was given the job to smuggle Ellie, he really didn't even care for her. To him, it was just another payday or another, you know, means of getting paid or whatever. So to go back to Joel's death not really making sense, I kind of don't think it had to. Was it a plot device to further push the story? Possibly, but then again, what isn't really? Joel selfishly kills Abby's father to save Ellie, as well as hundreds, if not thousands of other people, which, you know, saving Ellie makes sense, but people are somehow mad that Abby wants revenge for Joel killing her father. And all her father was doing was trying to come up with a vaccine for the cure. And whether or not the, you know, surgery would have been successful or whatever, that's up for debate. But point being, he was working towards the greater good. There's a scene in part 2 where Marlene asks, what's his name, Jeff or something, I don't know, Abby's dad, if he would still perform the surgery if it was Abby, and obviously he probably wouldn't, but then again, I don't think anybody would, which also kind of justifies Joel saving Ellie, but at the same time, it justifies Abby wanting revenge, as well as however many other people want revenge, because people are just selfish. I guess that's what it kind of boils down to. The vast majority of people wouldn't sacrifice their own kid to save a bunch of other people. I know people like to say that, and some of them might actually, you know, follow through with it, but the vast majority wouldn't do that. But anyway, in the universe of The Last of Us, I think the possibility of a vaccine, no matter how small, is still worth the chance. I've seen people say that, you know, surgically or whatever, big scientific words they want to use, the surgery doesn't make sense, but that's not really the point, if you ask me. The point being that even if it was a 1% chance success rate, Joel made that 0% when he decided to, you know, do what he did. And again, I don't necessarily blame him, but let's call it how it is. Pretty much the way I see it is that people are only pissed off about Joel's death because we were already invested in him from the first game, which again has value, but if you ask me, I think Abby is hated for practically no reason at all. Yeah, she killed Joel, but again, I feel like it was justifiable, at least in the, you know, universe of The Last of Us. There's a quote that I've heard that I'm going to, you know, butcher, and I don't know who said it, but pretty much it's something along the lines of, the problem with war is that both sides think that they're right. And what I think this game did an amazing job doing is making you empathize with, or at the very least understand, the reason Abby does what she does. To be fair, Abby is kind of a psycho, but then again, so is Joel and Ellie. You kind of have to be in the universe that they live in. Again, Joel kills Abby's father to save Ellie, which leaves Abby wanting revenge. And, you know, she spends years tracking down Joel to get that revenge, which she obviously does. And people hate her for this. Yet, if the roles were flipped, we would expect the same from Ellie. Meaning, if Abby killed Joel or Abby's father killed Joel, we would be 100% okay with Ellie clubbing Abby's father to death with a golf club. Again, the only difference is the prior investment with Joel and Ellie, which, like I'll say probably 100 times in this video, holds value, but the whole point of you playing roughly half the game as Abby is to put yourself in her shoes. The problem I'm seeing though is that a lot of people don't even give it a chance, whether it's from the spoilers from however many months ago or whatever, or just people giving it bad reviews. They hear that Abby killed Joel, and then you have to play as Abby, and they don't even give it the chance. When in reality, Joel and Ellie took more from Abby than the other way around. Obviously, you know, the first thing was Joel killing Abby's father, but then by the end of the game, by the end of part 2, I should say, Ellie goes and kills pretty much all of Abby's friends. She kills Owen, she kills Mel, she kills Alice, she kills Nora. Who else was there? She kills Jordan, whoever else that I forgot to mention. Tommy ends up killing Manny, and who did Abby kill? She kills Joel, which was a direct response to Joel killing her dad, and then she kills Jesse, which is a direct response to Ellie slaughtering all of her other friends. She blasts Tommy, and he lives, whether that's on purpose or not, I don't know. And Abby also spares Ellie at least twice, and she spares Dina. Granted, Lev convinced her to spare Dina, but she was ready to slit her throat, and she still let her go. Ellie did feel remorseful for killing at least Mel, but at the end of the day, she still killed him. I'm not trying to paint Ellie as evil or whatever, or as a bad guy, but, you know, in Abby's story, Ellie and Joel are the bad guy. And again, the reason for playing as Abby is to put yourself in her perspective and, you know, see why she does what she does. Again, though, Ellie's only the good guy because we have prior investment with her from the first game. And speaking of Ellie, there's really not much to say, to be honest. She's pissed off that Abby killed Joel, so she sets off to, you know, seek revenge, which is the same thing Abby did. But again, Ellie pretty much slaughters everyone in her path in order to do so. Even when everything settles down and, you know, she's on the farm with Dina and JJ, living what seems to be a peaceful life, aside from, you know, suffering from some PTSD, she still kind of has a taste for blood. Again, this is after Abby spared her and Dina. Tommy's all butthurt, and his influence kind of makes this worse, even though earlier in the game, in the theater, Tommy pretty much was okay with Abby getting away. But yeah, Tommy and Ellie's bloodlust for Abby pretty much cost them their relationship, if not more. So anyway, Ellie leaves behind Dina and JJ to go, you know, hunt down Abby again, who at this point was doing her own thing, was leaving Ellie and them alone. And then obviously when Ellie finds her, she ultimately changes her mind, decides not to kill her, even though she beats the shit out of her. I see people hate the ending because they say that Ellie just lets Abby go scot-free, when that's clearly not the case. Like I said before, Abby lost her father and pretty much all of her friends, and Ellie lost Joel and Jesse that I can think of, at least in response to Abby. But I also think it was important for Ellie to let Abby go because, as Ellie being the main character, the character that we've been previously invested in and even more so invested in now, I feel like it was important because it shows that she's evolved as a character. There's a collectible somewhere in the game that says, and I forget who the quote's from, but it says, "Before you embark on a journey of revenge, dig 2 graves," which I feel like Ellie finally understood. Her killing Abby wouldn't bring Joel back. It wouldn't bring Jesse back, although I don't think she really cared about Jesse that much. But it would also probably leave Lev pissed off, who would want to seek revenge again. And, you know, Ellie ends up losing more than just Joel from seeking revenge. At the end of the game, Ellie tries to play the song that Joel taught her, or whatever, on guitar, but she can't because Abby bit off 2 of her fingers, which was, again, a direct result from Abby forcing her to fight. So yeah, I don't know. I've seen discussions that this game has, or I should say that this game's main theme is about cycles and breaking them cycles. And I agree, and I think that's ultimately what Ellie ends up doing. She breaks the otherwise never-ending cycle of wanting revenge. Like I said, there's a bunch to talk about, but I think that's kind of the point. None of the choices are that easy. None of the thought processes are that simple. Revenge is extremely complicated, when you look at it logically at least, and oftentimes it comes with more loss than is needed. Like I said though, obviously there's going to be people who genuinely just don't like this, but that goes for pretty much any game. I personally believe there shouldn't have been a sequel, but for what we got, I enjoyed it. This game isn't perfect. I'm not saying it's perfect. There's plot holes for sure, but again, most games have plot holes. I'm not saying we should excuse them, but I'm saying, you know, let's be fair about it. But saying the game is complete trash just doesn't make sense to me, especially from people who haven't even played the game. I've seen people justify spoiling the game because they think it saves players or fans or whatever from playing a trash game, but I think that's a completely piss poor reason. If you care that deeply about it, I think you should play it for yourself. and form your own opinion, but that's just my opinion. This review is probably all over the place, and I probably missed some points that I wanted to cover, but you know, it is what it is, and if I need to, I'll go ahead and address whatever, you know, in the future. I'd encourage you to comment on your thoughts of the game or your opinions or whatever of it, but I even more so encourage you to be, you know, genuine about it. Don't just go off of based of what other people say. Play the game for yourself. I don't know. It is what it is, but yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say about it, at least that I can remember at this point. Like I said, let me know your opinions on the game down below, as long as they're genuine. It's probably going to be a lot of hate regardless, but fuck it.